the early written record of training horses, like 16th century, they used pillars a lot to train the horses. And so you can use, you got it. You can use a literal single pillar like this, or you could use a double pillar like this. The single pillar can be useful in the way that it tells you exactly where a point is in space. So the thing about a pillar is that it doesn't move. When I work the horse around the pillars, whether it's a single pillar or a double pillar, you have to be gentle with your horse and not overly forceful, because the pillar doesn't have any forgiveness towards the horse. And that's why they switched from doing pillar work to doing work in hand. So you can again have like a literal single pillar or a double pillar, but a pillar is anywhere that the horse doesn't want to go. And so again, the problem with a pillar is this pillar isn't going to give if she needs to move her position. When I work as a handler, I can be a pillar, but I can also move around. So these pillars out here are examples of literal pillars that you'll see me work the horses around sometimes. Next, we're going to go in the arena and talk about some other pillars that people use in more modern times. Common tools that you may already have in your arena that can help you to work around a pillar and give you an idea of a pillar is a jump standard. So the advantage of a jump standard is that it doesn't move and that the height is pretty high. So by having the height a little bit higher, it's going to help kind of give that spot where the pillar is a little bit more firmness. The thing you got to be careful about with the jump standards is that you have the legs to so you can't get as close as you could to that pillar to it, just like that pillar that we showed in the courtyard. It didn't have legs, so this is just something you want to be mindful of if you're working your horse around the jump standard like a pillar. And as I've explained many times already, I can be a pillar. So I can be here and be fixed in my position and work the horse around me. I can create a double pillar by putting the horse between me and a jump standard. Another common tool that a lot of people already have in their arenas that can work at the pillar is a traffic cone. So just like the pillar that's in the ground and the jump standard, the traffic cone is going to be a marker in space. And so a traffic cone is probably not going to be as firm of a fixed place as the jump standard, and definitely not as much as the actual pillar, because sometimes horses will walk into it and the height is a little bit lower. So it's not as fixed in its position. Another pillar that everybody probably has in their arena is their fence. So again, a pillar is just anywhere that the horse doesn't want to go. And so hopefully the horse doesn't want to go over me and they don't want to go over the fence. So if I took myself like this, I now have a double pillar just like the one I showed you over there. And the nice thing is that I can continue to keep moving forward and still have that double pillar position. So pillars can be physical, such as the ones that we just went over. Some of them will be more firmly physical than others, but pillars can also be psychological. So if a horse is afraid of a certain spot or doesn't want to go somewhere, that's a psychological pillar. So a pillar is just a marker in space that the horse generally doesn't want to go towards or go over. The reason to use a fixed pillar is that it gives you a judgment of where your horse is in space. It's like drawing with graph paper. It gives you a very firm idea of the space that you're working in. They use the pillars to train the horses to do the airs, but you can use the pillars for a lot of other important exercises. One really good exercise that you can do with a pillar is you can have the horse rotate around the pillar. So I'm the pillar in this case, and what I would like her to do is her hind to rotate around me, and then her front has to move. And then her hind's gonna make a couple scratches, and then her front's gonna move. So if you notice that this horse is pretty trained, and so there I could feel she was stuck. I took a little tiny step to just kind of help her, which is one of the advantages to doing this work, working in hand versus having it be on a fixed pillar. What you want to see when you do this exercise is that the horse should stay pretty straight. So you notice that she's not bending into a C shape and just falling around me. I can do this exercise when I'm the pillar. Another exercise you can do, but you're going to have to find a different pillar, is this exercise, but the opposite. So I'm going to go use this jump standard over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her hind be closer to the jump standard, to my pillar. And then just like I did on that previous exercise, now I'm going to have the shoulders move more around the pillar than the hind. So again, notice she moves the shoulders and then she moves the hind. That she's not just falling around and making a C shape. So she's moving in a way that she's controlling her weight and her thrust around the pillar. Another exercise you can do with your horse in the pillars, it's just simply trying to get them to become square. Because a lot of times when people are training green horses, a common mistake is that you'll get this a lot and it'll be a bigger step than that. And so it's hard to control the outside hind away from you when you're doing work in hand. So if you put the horse against the fence, that gives you a double pillar and helps you stop the outside hind from moving out away from you. So I could, again, just simply try to see if I could get my horse to stand square and underneath themselves using the fence and my own position. So there she's square, but she's kind of camped. So I'm going to tap on the belly to try and get her to come under a little more. So notice how she goes to swing around in her hind. The fence stops her from doing that, and then on this side, my whip stops her from doing that. So I gave her a little break because she was having a hard time, and she was almost square. And I'm going to see if I can fix it to get her perfectly square. Ta-da!